stop. Before you decide whether to buy this drone or skip it entirely, I need to ask you something, and I want you to answer it honestly, even if you already have your credit card out. Do you actually know what you are buying? Because I have spent the last 2 weeks watching everyone lose their minds over the DJI Avata 360, and almost nobody is having the right conversation. The specs are real, the footage is genuinely stunning, and yes, this might be the most capable 360 FPV drone ever built for consumer use. But here is the thing, and this is the part that is going to either save you a lot of money or finally give you permission to hit that purchase button. This drone is not for everyone. In fact, depending on where you live and how you fly, it might be completely useless to you, even if you can technically afford it, even if you love everything about it on paper. I am going to spend the next 15 minutes being the person who tells you the truth about that. No PR gloss, no affiliate-driven hype. We are going to go through every single question that has been flooding my comments. Weight restrictions, regulatory implications, US availability, the DJI Care situation, the Insta360 A1 comparison, and who this drone is actually built for. By the end of this video, you will know exactly where you stand. Stay with me, because the most important part of this video is actually toward the end, and if you bail early, you will miss the one thing that might change your entire buying decision. Let's get into it. 250 grams problem. Nobody is talking about. Alright, I want to start here because this is the single most important filter in this entire video, and I see so many people skipping past it in their excitement to talk about specs. The DJI Avata 360 is not under 250 grams. I know that sounds like a boring technical detail, but for a huge percentage of the people watching this video right now, especially if you are in the United States, the UK, Australia, Canada, or most of Europe, that sentence has enormous practical consequences. Let me explain exactly why. Regulators in those regions have created what you can think of as a friendly lane for lightweight drones. Drones under 250 grams sit in a category with significantly fewer restrictions, less paperwork to register, more locations where you can fly without needing special authorization, less scrutiny in parks, beaches, and public spaces, less hassle, full stop. That 250-gram threshold was not arbitrary. It came from a risk assessment. Regulators decided that below that weight, the injury risk from a drone collision drops low enough to justify lighter regulation, and the industry responded. DJI built the Neo 2 at 151 grams. The Mini 4K sits just under 250 grams. These products exist, at least partly, because that threshold matters to an enormous number of recreational flyers. The Avata 360 does not play in that space. This is a bigger drone, a heavier drone, a more powerful drone, and it brings with it the full weight of the regulatory category above 250 grams. Now, I want to be clear, that is not a criticism. A 360 FPV drone built to shoot 8K spherical footage with omnidirectional obstacle avoidance is not supposed to be 151 grams. Physics does not work that way. This is a flagship professional tool, and it is exactly as heavy as it needs to be to do what it does. But if you have been flying carefully in the sub 250 gram category because it simplifies your life, because you travel frequently and you do not want to register in 15 countries, because you fly near schools or populated parks, because you just want to pull a drone out of your bag without worrying about airspace authorization, then the Avata 360 requires a genuine lifestyle change alongside the purchase. If weight class is a real constraint for you, that is not a reason to feel bad. It is a reason to make a smarter decision, and I will come back to the alternative option that respects your constraints a little later in this video. But if you are watching this from a country with more relaxed drone laws, or if you have already gone through the registration and authorization process for a larger drone and it does not intimidate you, then this weight issue is essentially a non-factor for you, and we can move on to the exciting part. What this drone actually is. Okay, let's talk about what you are actually getting, because the spec sheet on this thing is genuinely impressive, and I think some of the most important details are getting lost in the noise. Let's start with the camera. 8K at 60 frames per second in 360-degree spherical mode. That is not just a headline number. That matters practically because 360 footage gets aggressively cropped when you reframe it in post. You are not outputting an 8K file to your audience. You are using that resolution as a buffer so that when you rotate, zoom, or reframe in editing, your final export at 4K still looks sharp. That buffer is everything in immersive filmmaking. Without it, your reframed shots look soft and over-sharpened. With it, you have creative freedom. Then there is what I think is the most underappreciated spec on this entire drone: omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. The Avata 2, DJI's previous flagship FPV product, did not have this. If you wanted to fly that drone near objects, through spaces, or or in any environment that was not wide open sky, you were flying on skill alone. That is fine for professionals. That is terrifying for everyone else. The Avatar 360 changes that equation completely. Add LiDAR to that picture and things get even more interesting. LiDAR gives the drone precise hovering capability in low-light conditions and difficult environments where optical sensors struggle. Think indoor flights. Think forests at dusk. Think complex architectural interiors where GPS is unreliable. The Avatar 360 can hold position in those scenarios in a way that its predecessor simply could not. Here is a detail I love: the rotating camera mechanism. The lens assembly physically rotates to protect the lenses during takeoff and landing. That is not a gimmick. Those lenses sit on the outside of the drone where they are exposed, and they cost €21 each to replace. A physical protection mechanism means fewer scratched lenses, which means lower operating costs over time. That is thoughtful product design. Speaking of those lenses, €21 each. That price point is significant. It makes the Avatar 360 a more forgiving drone to own. You crash in a tree, you scratch a lens, you spend €21 and you are back in business. Compare that to some competitors where lens damage means returning the entire unit. The replaceable lens system is a genuine quality of life feature. And then there is single lens mode. This is the feature that separates the Avatar 360 from a one-trick pony. When you do not need the full sphere, when you just want clean, standard cinematic footage, you switch to single lens mode and fly this exactly like a conventional DJI drone. That means one body, one investment, two completely different shooting styles. For working creators, that is not a luxury. That is a budget decision. On controller compatibility, RC2, RC Motion 3, Goggles N3, Goggles 3, and FPV Remote Controller 3 are all confirmed compatible. If you already own any of that hardware, the drone-only SKU at €459 is your entry point. You walk in at less than €500 with full flying capability. That changes the value calculation dramatically for existing DJI ecosystem owners. RC Pro 2 compatibility has not been officially confirmed at the time I am recording this. That is worth watching. If it gets confirmed, it significantly broadens the appeal to professional users. I will update in the comments if that changes before launch. Design and build quality. Let's talk about what it actually looks and feels like to hold this thing, because the design choices DJI made here are genuinely interesting. The first thing you notice when you pick it up is how flat it is. We're talking about a drone that's been engineered to be as low profile as physically possible, and that flatness serves a direct purpose. The super slim battery slides into the body horizontally, and that low center of gravity helps the cameras do their job without the drone's own bulk interrupting the shot. The build quality feels premium without feeling fragile. DJI has been refining the cinewhoop form factor for a while now, and the Avatar 360 shows that refinement. The ducted propeller guards feel solid, not like something that's going to crack the first time you clip a wall. And the overall frame has a rigidity to it that gives you confidence when you're flying close to objects or in tighter spaces. On the front of the drone, you've got a suite of obstacle avoidance sensors. These are your eyes when you're flying in situations where you might not have perfect visual line of sight, and they work in a way that feels intuitive rather than intrusive. The sensors are recessed smartly into the body so they don't stick out and risk being the first thing that hits something in a tight space. Now, and this is the part I've been genuinely excited to tell you about. Let me show you something I kept out of the frame on purpose until right now. Hold up lens kit. This right here is the replaceable lens kit for the Avatar 360. And if you've been following the drone and action camera space for any length of time, you already know why this is a big deal. One of the most frustrating things about DJI's Osmo 360, and this criticism has been everywhere in the community, is that the lenses are not user replaceable. Scratch a lens on your Osmo 360, and you are looking at a repair bill, a return, or a very expensive paperweight. DJI clearly listened. On the Avatar 360, the lens housing is designed to be replaced by the user at home without sending it anywhere. If you scratch a lens during a close proximity flight, and let's be real, flying a drone this aggressively near surfaces makes scratches an inevitability rather than a possibility. You simply swap the lens yourself with one of these kits. That is a meaningful quality of life improvement, and honestly, it changes the risk calculus of flying this drone in challenging environments entirely. Avatar 360 versus Insta360 and Antigravity A1. Now let's talk about the comparison I have seen in more comments than any other. The Insta360 Antigravity A1 versus the DJI Avatar 360. I want to be fair to both products here, because Insta360 deserves genuine credit. The A1 was first. It entered a category that did not exist before it, and it did so competently. Being first in a new product category is incredibly hard. You have no reference point, no established user base, no tested workflow. Insta360 took that risk. That matters. But I also want to be direct, because this is a buying decision and you need clarity, not diplomatic non-answers. The decision between these two drones is almost entirely driven by one variable. Does your regulatory environment require you to stay under 250 grams? If the answer is yes, that question resolves itself immediately. The Antigravity A1 respects that threshold. The Avatar 360 does not. For anyone in that situation, the A1 is the more practical choice and a genuinely capable drone in its own right. But if weight restrictions are not a factor for you, and for a significant portion of this audience, they are not, then I think the Avatar 360 wins this comparison in almost every category that matters to real-world shooting. Start with transmission technology. DJI's OcuSync system is a generation ahead of what the A1 offers. That means more stable signal at greater distances, less interference in crowded RF environments, and more reliable footage in the kinds of locations where you actually want to fly. Festivals, urban environments, coastal areas. Signal quality is not a glamorous spec to talk about, but it is the one that determines whether your footage exists or whether you are watching a loading screen. Then there is obstacle avoidance. The A1 does not have LiDAR. The Avatar 360 does. In practical terms, that means the Avatar 360 can operate safely in more complex environments. For documentary filmmakers, event creators, and anyone who is not flying in a clean, empty field, that difference shows up in every single shoot. The single lens mode on the Avatar 360 also gives it a creative flexibility the A1 simply cannot match. With the Avatar 360, you are buying one drone that can operate as a standard cinematic FPV camera and as a full-sphere 360 capture device. That versatility means your investment works harder. And finally, the ecosystem. The entire DJI infrastructure, firmware updates, accessory compatibility, repair network, support channels, and the institutional weight of the world's largest consumer drone company sits behind the Avatar 360. That does not matter on day 1. It matters enormously on day 400. Here is the bottom line. If you have been sitting on the fence, waiting to see which one is worth the investment, and weight restrictions are not your deciding factor, the Avatar 360 is the clearer choice. The A1 was the brave first move. The Avatar 360 is the category-defining answer. The US situation. Honest and unfiltered. All right, if you are watching from the United States, this section is the one you have been waiting for. So let me give it to you straight. The Avatar 360 is coming to the US. That part is clear. What is less clear, and what a lot of the coverage is glossing over, is the full picture of what buying this drone as a US customer actually means right now. Here is the situation. DJI is currently listed on the FCC's covered list, which restricts the authorization of new DJI products for sale through standard US channels. It is part of a broader policy environment around Chinese technology companies operating in the US market. DJI has filed a legal challenge against the restriction, but as of the time I am recording this, that challenge has not resulted in a lifted ban. Here is where the Avatar 360 is different from some other recent DJI products. It cleared FCC authorization before the covered list restriction came fully into effect. That means the legal pathway for it to be sold in the United States exists. This is not a drone that is waiting for authorization. That authorization has already happened. The practical question, then, is not whether it will arrive in the US. It is when and through which channels. After the global launch on April 9th, you may find it difficult to walk into a Best Buy or order directly from DJI's US website on day 1. Distribution logistics, retail agreements, and the ongoing regulatory climate may create delays. Third-party importers and gray market channels will almost certainly have inventory before official US retail does. Many US buyers will go that route, which brings me to the most important thing I can tell any US viewer today. If you buy this drone through any unofficial channel, you are doing it without DJI Care coverage. Let me be very direct about what that means. DJI Care, the damage protection plan that covers crashes, lens scratches, water damage, and most accidents, has been canceled for U.S. customers. That decision came as a direct result of the regulatory situation. It is not a temporary inconvenience. It is a real structural gap in the buyer experience for U.S. customers right now. That matters because FPV and 360 drones crash, not because pilots are incompetent, but because that is the nature of flying aggressively in complex environments. The lens is exposed, the aircraft moves fast, and the real world has trees in it. DJI Care is not just a nice-to-have for this category of drone. It is a genuine safety net. Without it, you are self-insuring. That means the €21 lens replacement kits become even more important to stock up on. It means flying conservatively in the early days until you understand the aircraft. It means building your own repair budget before you ever power the thing on. None of this is a reason to not buy the drone if you are a US customer who wants it. It is a reason to go in with open eyes and a realistic budget. Buy the drone-only SKU if you already have compatible hardware. Order multiple lens replacement kits from day one. Set aside a repair fund. And if you are the type of person who crashes often and relies on DJI Care as your backup plan, wait until the regulatory situation resolves and DJI Care returns to the US market. The decision framework. Okay, everything we have talked about leads to this. Let me give you a clean, simple framework so you can walk away from this video with a clear answer. Buy it. You are ready. You fly in a region where sub-250-gram restrictions are not a meaningful constraint for your use case. You already own DJI ecosystem hardware, RC2, Goggles 3, Goggles N3, or the FPV Remote Controller 3, which means your entry cost is €459 and you are flying on launch day. You want a drone that can work as a standard cinematic FPV camera and as a full 360 capture platform without buying two separate aircraft. You are outside the US, or you are a US buyer who is comfortable with the gray market, understands the DJI Care gap, and has budgeted accordingly. If that is you, this is the most capable 360 drone on the market when it launches. Buy it. Wait, this is almost right for you. You are in the US and you want official retail availability and DJI Care coverage before you commit. You are on the fence about the weight threshold and want to see how the regulatory situation evolves in your region over the next few months. You do not currently own any DJI ecosystem hardware, and you want to see real-world battery life, real-world obstacle avoidance performance, and head-to-head comparison footage before spending €500 or more. You are not in a rush, and you know that waiting 2 or 3 months will give you full reviews, real owner feedback, and potentially better pricing. If any of that is you, the drone is not going anywhere. Wait for my full review, which is coming before the global launch date. Then decide. Skip it. This is not your drone right now. You need to stay in the sub-250-gram category for regulatory reasons, and that is unlikely to change. You are a complete beginner to FPV who has never flown, has no DJI hardware, and is not prepared for the full ecosystem investment. You are specifically a US buyer who depends on DJI Care as your crash protection strategy, and you are not willing to self-insure. Or you are making this purchase purely on hype without a clear creative use case that requires 360 spherical capture. If that is you, do not buy this drone right now. It will frustrate you. Final verdict and call to action. All right, let's bring this home. My final early impression of the DJI Avata 360 is this. DJI built something that genuinely earns the word revolutionary. And I do not use that word lightly on this channel, because the camera and drone industry throws it around so carelessly that it barely means anything anymore. But this drone represents a real philosophical shift in how we think about aerial filmmaking. Not just a spec bump or a new form factor, but a different relationship between the pilot, the flight, and the edit. Is it perfect? No. In windy conditions, it will test your patience and your color grading skills. It is not a drone for every scenario, and if you try to use it like a Mavic Pro, you will be frustrated. But if you use it for what it is, a creative, proximity-capable, 360 capturing cinewhoop that turns a single flight into unlimited angles, it is one of the most capable and exciting creative tools I have had the privilege of putting in the air. The replaceable lenses matter. The dual 1/1.1-inch sensors matter. The 360 cinewhoop combination matters. The post-production flexibility matters. And yes, at around $499 as a starting price, the value proposition is genuinely hard to argue with for what you are getting. These are not marketing bullet points. They are genuine, practical advantages that will show up in your work every single time you fly this drone. And for solo creators especially, the value is almost impossible to overstate. My full review, with every technical spec, every comparison clip, every setting breakdown, and my final buying recommendation recommendation is coming very soon, and when it does, I promise you, it is going to be the most complete resource on this drone anywhere on the internet. So hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and come back for that. If this video gave you something useful today, if you learned something, if you got excited about something, or if it just helped you decide whether the Avata 360 belongs in your kit, do me a quick favor and give it a like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more creators who need to see this content. Drop your questions in the comments below, and I will get to every single one of them. I am going to be back very soon with the full spec breakdown and the Antigravity A1 comparison that you are absolutely not going to want to miss. Until then, fly smart, stay creative, and I will see you in the next one.